Hello and welcome to today's meeting. My name is Samantha Reed and I'm the school counselor here at the middle school. And want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to participate in the advisory council meeting today. Your presence represents an important partnership between school staff, families, and the community in supporting students' success. In today's presentation, I will be sharing a comprehensive overview of our school counseling program. Specifically, I will explain how we use a tiered system of supports, or MTSS, to organize our services into Tier 1, which is universal supports, Tier 2, targeted interventions, and Tier 3, intensive interventions. In addition to describing these supports, I will also provide research-based evidence supporting each intervention and explain how they align with ASCA standards for school counseling. Finally, I will also integrate biblical Christian values to show how our approach to student support reflects principles of compassion, wisdom, and service. The overall goal of this presentation is to ensure transparency, gather your feedback, and strengthen our shared commitment to helping every student succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. The purpose of the School Counseling Advisory Council is to create a structured space for collaboration and shared decision making. This group includes stakeholders such as teachers, administrators, parents, and community members who all play a role in supporting student success. One of the most important functions of this council is program evaluation. We examine whether counseling services are meeting student needs effectively and whether adjustments are needed based on current data. Another function is ensuring alignment between school counseling services and broader school improvement goals. Additionally, this council helps ensure accountability and transparency. By including multiple perspectives, we are better able to identify strengths and areas for growth in our programming. From a biblical perspective, collaboration and shared wisdom are highly valued. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22 states, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." This reinforces the importance of working together rather than making decisions in isolation. Ultimately, the Advisory Council helps ensure that student support services are intentional, effective, and continuously improving. So, middle school students are in a very unique developmental stage. Students in grades 6 through 8 are experiencing rapid cognitive, emotional, and social development. During this time, they are forming identity, navigating peer relationships, and adjusting to increased academic expectations. Based on school data, we have identified several key areas of need. First, there are increasing concerns related to anxiety and stress, particularly around academic performance and peer relationships. Second, we are seeing inconsistent attendance patterns, which often correlate with disengagement or emotional challenges. Third, behavioral referrals tend to increase during the middle school transition, especially in the seventh grade. These trends are consistent with national research on adolescent development, which shows that middle school is often a period of heightened emotional sensitivity and social pressure. Because of these needs, it is critical that our counseling program includes preventative supports as well as targeted and intensive interventions. From a biblical perspective, each student is recognized as uniquely created and valuable. Psalms chapter 139 verse 14 states, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." This reminds us that every student deserves an individualized attention and care based on their unique strengths and needs. Our counseling program is organized using a multi-tiered system of supports, which is commonly referred to as the MTSS. This framework allows us to provide the right level of support to students based on their individual needs. Tier 1 represents universal supports provided to all students. These are preventative in nature and focus on teaching skills before problems arise. Tier 2 includes targeted interventions for students who are at risk and need additional support beyond universal instruction. Tier 3 involves intensive individualized interventions for students with significant academic, behavioral, or emotional needs. This structure is essential because it ensures that resources are allocated appropriately and that interventions are matched to student need rather than applied uniformly. MTSS is also strongly data-driven. Decisions about movement between tiers are based on measurable student outcomes such as attendance, grades, and behavioral data. From a biblical perspective, structure and order are important principles. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 40 states, "But everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way." This reflects the importance of having a structured system that promotes fairness, consistency, and effectiveness. Tier 1 classroom guidance lessons are delivered to all students across grade levels. These lessons are preventative and skill building in nature, meaning they're designed to support students before problems escalate. Topics include study skills, organization, bullying prevention, digital citizenship, emotional regulation, and healthy peer relationships. These lessons are developmentally appropriate and aligned with the needs of middle school learners. Research in school counseling consistently shows that universal prevention programs improve both academic achievement and behavioral outcomes by equipping students with essential life skills. From a biblical perspective, this aligns with Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, which states, "Start children off the way they should go, and even when they're old enough, they will not turn from it." This supports the idea that early instruction and guidance have long-term benefits. Overall, Tier 1 services create a strong foundation that reduces the likelihood of more intensive interventions being needed later on. Our social emotional learning program is another key Tier 1 intervention. SEL focuses on teaching students 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. These skills are integrated into classroom instruction and school-wide activities. Research from CASEL shows that SEL programs significantly improve academic performance, reduce behavioral issues, and increase emotional well-being. For middle school students, SEL is especially important because it helps them navigate peer pressure, emotional changes, and academic stress. From a biblical perspective, SEL aligns strongly with Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 through 23, which describes the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These characteristics mirror the goals of SEL instruction. Overall, this intervention supports both academic and personal development in a structured and evidence-based way. Tier 2 anxiety groups provide targeted support for students who are experiencing moderate levels of stress or anxiety. These groups typically run for 6 to 8 weeks and use cognitive behavioral therapy strategies, or commonly known as CBT. Students learn to identify negative thought patterns, challenge irrational thinking, and replace it with healthier coping strategies. They also practice relaxation techniques and stress management skills. Research consistently shows that CBT-based group counseling is effective in reducing adolescent anxiety and improving coping skills. This intervention is particularly important in middle school, where academic pressure and social dynamics can significantly impact emotional well-being. From a biblical perspective, this aligns with Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 through 7, which states, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation present your requests to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Academic support groups focus on students who are at risk academically but not yet failing. These groups teach executive functioning skills such as organization, time management, and study strategies. Students often struggle in middle school due to increased workload and changing expectations. These groups provide structured support to help them succeed. Research shows that academic interventions groups can improve GPA, increase assignment completion, and improve classroom engagement. From a biblical perspective, Colossians chapter 3 verse 23 states, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord." This reinforces the importance of diligence, effort, and responsibility in academic work. Tier 3 individual counseling provides intensive support for students with significant emotional, behavioral, or personal challenges. This may include trauma, grief, chronic anxiety, or behavioral concerns. These services are highly individualized and often involve collaboration with parents, teachers, and outside mental health providers. Research supports individual counseling as an effective intervention for improving emotional regulation, behavior, and academic engagement. From a biblical perspective, Psalms chapter 34, verse 18 states, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit." This reflects the importance of compassion and individualized care. Behavioral intervention plans are developed after a functional behavioral assessment identifies the cause of challenging behavior. These plans are designed to replace problem behaviors with positive alternatives. Interventions are data-driven and include reinforcement strategies, behavior tracking, and collaboration among staff. Research shows that consistent implementation of BIPs significantly improves student behavior outcomes. Biblically, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1 states, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge." This supports structured correction, but must always be applied with fairness and care. Data collection and progress monitoring are essential components of a strong and effective school counseling program. Without data, it becomes difficult to determine whether interventions are actually making a meaningful impact on student outcomes. In our middle school counseling program, we use multiple sources of data to evaluate effectiveness. These include attendance records, academic performance such as grades and progress reports, behavioral data such as discipline referrals, and pre and post assessments for targeted intervention. For example, when students participate in Tier 2 small groups, such as anxiety or academic support groups, we collect baseline data at the beginning and compare it to data collected at the end of this intervention. This allows us to measure growth and determine whether the intervention was successful. Data also helps us identify patterns. For instance, if we notice an increase in behavioral referrals during a certain time of year or within a specific grade level, we can adjust our Tier 1 supports to address those needs proactively. Using data ensures that our decisions are objective rather than based on assumptions. It also allows us to continuously improve our school counseling program and allocate resources effectively. Biblically, Luke chapter 14, verse 28 says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it?" This verse reflects the importance of planning, evaluating, and being intentional with our efforts. An essential component of our counseling program is the use of evidence-based practices. This means that interventions we implement are supported by research demonstrating their effectiveness with similar student populations. Our program is aligned with the ASCA national model, which emphasizes data-driven decision-making, equitable access to services, and measurable outcomes for students. This ensures that our counseling services are not only supportive but also structured and accountable. For example, cognitive behavioral therapy strategies used in our Tier 2 anxiety groups are widely supported in research as effective for reducing adolescent anxiety. Similarly, social emotional learning programs have been shown to improve both academic performance and behavioral outcomes, as supported by studies such as Durlek 2011. Using evidence-based interventions increases confidence in our program and ensures that we are using the strategies that have been proven to work rather than relying on trial and error. From a broader perspective, this approach also supports equity, as all students are given access to interventions that are known to be effective. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7 states, "The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, though it cost all you have, get understanding." This verse emphasizes the importance of seeking knowledge and making informed decisions. Biblical integration is an important foundation of how I approach school counseling. While I'm maintaining professional and ethical standards in a public or school setting, biblical values still guide how I interact with and support students. One of the most important principles is servant leadership. This means putting the needs of students first and supporting them with humility, patience, and care. As counselors, we are not only problem solvers, but also advocates and supporters of student growth. Another key principle is compassion. Many students come to school carrying emotional burdens, and it is important that they are met with empathy rather than judgment, and this creates a safe and supportive environment where students feel valued and understood. We also emphasize student dignity. Every student, regardless of their challenges or behavior, deserves to be treated with respect and worth. This perspective also helps guide how interventions are implemented, especially at Tier 3. Biblically, John chapter 13, verses 14 through 15 states, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." This reflects servant leadership. Micah chapter 6, verse 8 states, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." This supports justice, compassion, and humility in practice. The implementation timeline ensures that all interventions are delivered in a structured and consistent manner throughout the school year. Tier 1 services such as classroom guidance and SEL instruction are ongoing and integrated into the school environment. These supports are preventative and designed to reach all students consistently. Tier 2 interventions are delivered in structured cycles, typically lasting 6 to 8 weeks. This time frame also allows students to learn and practice new skills while also providing enough time to measure progress effectively. At the end of each cycle, data is reviewed to determine the next steps. Tier 3 interventions are more flexible and are implemented as needed. Some students may require ongoing individual counseling or behavior support throughout the year, depending on their needs. Having a structured timeline ensures that interventions are intentional and not random. It also helps with planning, scheduling, and ensuring that all students receive appropriate support. Stakeholder feedback is a critical part of maintaining and improving the effectiveness of school counseling program. While data provides valuable insight, it does not always capture the full picture of student experience. This is why your input is so important. As stakeholders, you bring a unique perspective that helps identify strengths, gaps, and opportunities for growth. At this point, I would like to invite feedback in a few key areas. What aspects of the counseling program do you feel are most effective? Are there any student needs that you feel are not currently being addressed? What suggestions do you have for improving or increasing student support? This feedback will be used to guide future planning and ensure that the program continues to meet the evolving needs of students. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14 states, "For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors." This reinforces the importance of collaboration and shared input. The references listed on this slide represent the scholarly and research foundation for the interventions and practices discussed throughout this presentation. These sources include the ASTA National Model, which provides the framework for comprehensive school counseling programs, as well as research on social emotional learning, cognitive behavioral therapy, and academic interventions. For example, Durlock and colleagues conducted a large meta-analysis demonstrating that SEL programs significantly improve both academic performance and student behavior. Similarly, research by Sink and Stroh highlights the positive impacts of comprehensive school counseling programs on student achievement. Using these sources ensures that our counseling program is grounded in evidence-based practice and aligned with national standards. This commitment to research helps ensures that we are providing effective, ethical, and high-quality services to our students. Thank you all for joining me in today's meeting. If you have any questions, I'll be around at the end and would love your feedback and support.